I think that's one more time. Well, I had people there.
There you go, thank you. Yeah, you can.
I don't want you pointing at any other.
Oh, okay. Okay,
6 p.m. on May 22nd, this meeting of the Ocean Highway and Port Authority is hereby called to order. The invocation will be given by Commissioner.
Our head. Gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we do thank you for this day. We thank you for this great country that we live in. We thank you for all that we have, our blessings that this country gives us. We pray now, Lord, that you would give us wisdom and discernment as we make decisions for the port and for the county of Nassau. And we just ask all of this and ask for your safety over first responders and our military, and pray for peace in Israel and Ukraine. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge, please.
Commissioner Cole,
Here.
Commissioner Nelson,
Here.
Commissioner Fullwood,
Present.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Here.
Chair Hill.
Here.
Thank you.
So we recognize our folks in attendance who are honored guests, and elected officials, members of the community, members of the press. We have Scott Moore, who is a candidate for District 2. We have Bill Griffin, who has a contract for consideration for the sale of real property this evening. I'm on the agenda. Mayor Ledovich, Julie Roberts, both here representing the press. And then we have Bob Virtue, one of our neighbors. Davis Bean is here representing Nassau Terminals. And then we have lots of port employees. It makes me very happy to see you all tonight. Thank you so much for being here. I have one comment card. If any of the members of the audience have any other comments, please provide that comment card to Rosanna. And we'll move on to that item on the agenda, public comments. So the first comment is from Mr. Bob Virtue, 424 North 3rd Street, Vernon Beach, on item 8A. Mr. Virtue.
Good evening. I know Bob Virtue, 424 North 3rd Street, Vernon Beach. Technical factors unable to attend tonight. Second question of the email this afternoon. So I'll be very brief. Really, I have 2 words. Relates to 8A, the property sale. You know, 2 words are the restrictions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Virtue. Any other comments to be turned in from the audience? No. Okay, so we'll move on to presentations. The first item on the agenda is National Maritime Day, which is today, May 22nd. And I have a proclamation to read. So I will move over to the podium. And I would like to invite as many members of the Savage employee group, the board employees who would like to join the podium. Oh, someone come up here. Someone has to accept it on behalf of the board employees. So National Maritime Day is not something that we have historically done anything for, as far as I know, at the port. We got an email from the National Maritime Administration, and they said, "What are you doing?" And we were like, "Nothing." So we said, we should do something. This is a day that's celebrated every year to commemorate the benefits of maritime in our economy for our country. And so we didn't want to miss this opportunity. And we actually have so many employees that have been here so long know that we're here for you and that this board represents you as well. So I'll go on, if no one wants to join, but feel free to come on up with your response. Whereas National Maritime Day is celebrated every year to recognize, celebrate, and honor the history of the maritime shipping industry. And whereas the maritime industry has played a vital role throughout United States history in supporting commerce and strengthening the economy. And whereas many maritime organizations in Florida will celebrate the achievements of American shipping on May 22nd. And whereas maritime transportation can be realized over any distance by boat, ship, sailboat, or barge, over oceans and lakes, through canals or along rivers. And whereas shipping may be for commerce, recreation, or military purposes. And whereas dock workers, longshoremen, stevedores, harbor pilots, and merchant mariners all play an essential role to successful port operations. And whereas Florida's 16 deep water ports contribute more than $117 billion in economic value to the state's economy. And whereas the Fernandina Beach working waterfront has been home to the Port of Fernandina since 1807, that's before statehood, and is currently where craft linerboard, lumber, steel, wood pulp, break bulk, and other cargo is imported. And whereas the Port of Fernandina has provided a Florida to Bermuda container and break bulk service with the Summerville Shipping Company since July 1985. Whereas the Port of Fernandina has a current workforce of approximately 75 direct employees and has been the chosen career path for thousands of direct and indirect local maritime professionals since the Port of Fernandina's establishment as a public port in 1987. The Port of Fernandina and the Ocean Highway and Port Authority of Nassau County hereby recognize longtime port employees, including Phil Wynarski, Ray Wood, Patrick Eldridge, Stanley Harrington, Chris Black, Stanley Harvey, Kenny Tyler, Michael Davis, Brandon Pike, Lawrence Davis, Charles Clinch, Darren Chandler, Chad Jones, Ryan Mellows, Christopher Bailey, Matthew Rollins, Michelle Wilder, Debbie Brown, Jean Hook, Justin Rosenwald, Michael McIntosh, and Diane Petty and Jean Thorne. We also have an honorable mention to Ray Nelson, Open Commissioner and former terminal manager. Thank you very much for coming tonight. If you would be so kind as to come up to the podium and please just tell us how many years of service you have. Thank you.
Charles Finch, I've been at the port for 49 years. Ow!
I think we're good. Thank you, sir.
My name is Mike McIntosh, I've been here since 1997, Dodge Trust Port, and still here today. Thank you.
I'm Diane Petty. I've been here 28 years.
Chad Jones, I'm the site supervisor. I've been with security at the port for 10 plus years now.
My name is Greg Wood, and I've been with the port for 20 years.
My name is Olu.
So Rosanna was kind enough to print these up and put a seal on them. We wanted to have these framed for you all, and so we're going to do that and provide copies, take them to the board for you. Thank you so much for coming. And you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. You're also welcome to go. There's no points or demerits for leaving at this time, but feel free to do whatever you see fit. Thank you very, very much again.
Thank you.
so the next item on the agenda is a presentation by Allied Universal Security. This is item 7B, and it includes Q&A.
First of all, thank you for allowing me to come speak. But I want to thank you all for your dedication to the work. I mean, here 20 plus years, even 5 years in today's world, like tremendous. So thank you all very much on behalf of the audience. So, I'm here today because the last time I had this meeting, somebody questioned or people questioned where we do with our markup. So hopefully, I'm going to explain to you today what we do with our markup. But just tell you a little bit about myself. Yeah, I've been with Allied Universal 7 years. I spent 20 years in the Army, got out, went to work for different companies and landed in Allied Universal. I'm a true Floridian. So, although I'm from the land area, not Jacksonville, but I truly believe in my country. And I believe in my people. And that's why we're here tonight, is to hopefully help you understand why we need what we need to take care of people. Because in today's world, we all know it's pretty hard to take care of everything when it comes to money and that. So we feel that security could be a very thankless job, it really can. And believe it or not, in the state of Florida, because each state is different, there's different requirements that security guards have to meet in the state of Florida. And I'll give you some examples. In the state of Florida, they have to go to a 40-hour class that they have to pay for. They have to get a security license. They have to go through a state background check, which they're checked every year by the state of Florida from the Department of Agriculture. And then working in port, they have to do a TWIP. So, most of them pay for that, for them to work for us. Some of them, we pay where they can't afford it. And we do that because we know we need them. And in the presentation that I sent, it explains where our market is. And listen, make no mistake about it. We are a for-profit company. We are. We have to make profits in business. That's how, quite frankly, I get paid, because I'm not billed to the client. We only get paid if we put a security guard on post. That's how we make money. And we pay for our infrastructure that way. We pay for our lease of our building, the electric. We pay for payroll taxes. We pay for medical benefits out of the markup. We pay for sick time, all the training that we have to give folks, we pay for. And then, obviously the uniforms we pay for as well. And then out of that, we are a penny business because we make out of all that goes, we make pennies for profit. So, in my branch, we are out of Jacksonville. We run about 75,000 hours every week. So, you put 75,000 hours, divide that by 40 hours as one individual, by full time. That's a lot of folks we employ. So, there's a lot of things that we pay for. And 85% of what we charge a client goes back to the security professional in terms of pay and all that. And right now, for whatever reason, they make $14 an hour at the port. And let's be honest, you can go to a fast food joint and make more money than that. So we are on this journey to try to get our employees up to where we think they can have a living wage, because they deserve it. And I also included in the contract or the packet that I sent, the ARI data, which tells you what an average security professional makes. And we try to stay within the 75% of that.
And right now, for this area in Fort Fernandina, it says 75 percentile should be making $17.23. That's what we should be paying as security professionals, and we pay them 14. You know what I mean? So that, and remember all the specialized training that they have to get, because every year, we're luckily in the state of Florida, we get 2 years. Well, not everybody does, but they have to renew their license with the state of Florida. So it's a lot for somebody to be in security in the state of Florida. Remember what I said, you know, in the beginning, every state is different, but we have to go with Florida. You know, I go with Georgia a little bit. Georgia's not that way, but Florida is. So I'm going to shut now because I tend to talk a little bit more than what I should, but I'm going to open it up for questions and hopefully I can provide you with the answer. Anybody have a question?
I was just trying to understand, the chart you provided, you have seen SP.
I'm going to step in.
I know there's a third one. So you have something that says SP,
Security question.
okay, and the site supervisor. So the vast majority of the security professionals are at that $17 wage rate. But you just said $14.
That's what they make currently. We're proposing.
Oh, okay.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, and then, is the golf, are the all the direct bill items also proposed, or is that reflected?
So right now, we don't pay for like the golf cart, and we talked to Commissioner Ray about it. We don't charge you for the golf cart right now, which we should, but because of the financial stability of the port, we just didn't charge you for it. And we even, to show you what a great partner we are, and Roseanne can probably answer for you, is that, we actually allow them to get way behind in paying your invoices. But, we said that the next time we do a renewal, we're going to charge you for the golf cart if you keep the golf cart. Now, you don't keep it, we can take it away and not charge you for it. But that's what I'm hoping. Answer your question.
Okay, so this doesn't show current versus what's proposed for each of these items to change?
It's a change.
Every single item listed in
It's
this,
changed,
okay.
Yep.
I'm just trying to understand the difference, the delta. Here, have you seen this and compared it to what the impact is?
No.
Your invoices will show what your current charge.
So it's monthly.
It's a month, but no, we can get a button. We can charge you monthly, but you're weekly.
No, pay every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Pay 2 weeks at a time.
Every client does it differently. Some like pay weekly, some like pay every 2 weeks, some like monthly.
We pay 2 weeks, 60 days, and every year.
Yeah, I know some of you got golf carts, $9,600,
That's annually.
$9,600.
Without paying the insurance for that golf cart by the state of Florida, I have to pay for workers' comp. If somebody is hurt on that golf cart, we pay for everything with that golf cart. Maintenance, I've spent, for example, because of on-court and because of the weather and all that, I've spent $3,000 on the golf cart.
All the cameras we have now, and they're all working.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about. You don't have to have a golf cart. And I don't know. There's sometimes that, sometimes not.
Anybody else? I agree with Mr. Ford. We could buy our own on that much. I mean, for the question of, but,
Yeah,
we think so. And I think it was our sufficient because of every aspect of the board.
Yep, and we talked about that with Commissioner Ray. I'm fine.
Right.
Yeah, just keep in mind that a lot of things that are going on now flow from the worldwide terminal issue, especially the hourly rate, which, to me is appalling. that it was allowed to go on as long as it did. There's nobody at this table or in the gallery that could take $14 an hour and stretch it to take care of 3 people in a family. I don't care how good a mathematician you are, you can't stretch it that far. So, when I heard it, that's the reason that we're here discussing this. This board needs to act, to straighten this issue out. There are means of paying for this, and I'll go into those when the chair asked about it. But we need to deal with this. The ballpark can go out on the wayside, and Commissioner Fullwood mentioned it. I'm in total support of that because the day and time that we live in is not the day and time where you had a security officer that could walk to various stations and keep a time clock to check that particular area. With the cameras that we have now, without going into any specifics, they can monitor that facility well enough that we don't have to put a security officer out in the street. It's not safe, and we shouldn't do it when we got the technology to do it for the safety of a security officer. So that can be taken care of, stroke of the people. But I just ask the commission, if you would, if you have any questions, these folks came in here to answer every question that we had, so that we can make a sensible and reasonable and a good decision, for them and for the court. So, I mean, I looked at the information that we got, it's pretty much self-explanatory, but we have to make this wrong right. And until we do, we're part of the problem, not the solution.
I totally agree with that. These guys do an intensive job. Work with them now for quite a while, and I'm sad that I'm not saying, from the Gucci here, okay, call me every week. To have something, yeah, we get on the phone every week, I go down to the porch and we work and we sit there and talk for a while and, you know, I know you have conditions, and I appreciate that. But I totally agree, run pay, and I think we should do everything we can to fix it.
Thank you, Madam Chair, if I may, just one more note. This is the same group of people that I brought you a message from, CBP, Court Direct. He said, and this is his saying, his words, this is one of the finest group of security officers that he's worked with, because they take it literally. They see something, they say something, no matter how big, how small. And I can tell you, from past experience, by their action, a lot of potential serious crimes were stopped. Action was taken because they done just that. They brought it to the appropriate authorities' attention, and the different law enforcement agencies that got involved were there to take care of it. So again, my appreciation to the officers at the court. It's not always easy. They take a lot of ridicule. They take a lot of mouth. I have to hand it to them. But all in all, they do a good job. And I think now is our opportunity to show them how much we appreciate it.
And I agree, Commissioner Fullwood, years past, I've had many, Chad, I got your number in my cell phone. We had many conversations with people and problems, and very, observant to what was going on. Let us know.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I always get a call if there's any question, any time of day, something going on before, I get a call during the festival that someone had arrived at the court and represented themselves as me and told people not to do things. And I said, no, I'm not there. It's not me. So I appreciate those calls. So I think we are really happy with the service. We are concerned about rate of pay. We have another proposal here for a change in the agreement. I don't have an action item here, but so the security and maintenance costs, what is our budget here?
So there's no budget.
We don't charge that. That was, if you kept the, golf cart, then we would charge you for it. But it sounded like you aren't gonna keep the golf cart, so we take it away.
So there's no budget for security.
For this past.
Security is paid by the customers. So your impact customers in Savage, you charge a security fee or? Okay, so obviously the customers and Savage are paying for it. Obviously, this has no impact. It's a pass-through for you, right? So Savage pays the security invoices, and whether they add that fee to, obviously they add that fee to that customer somewhere along the way. That fee is passed along to the customers. We receive the fee, we just pass it through, so we have no budget. Right now, they spend about $8,000 to $9,000 every 2 weeks, so you're talking about $12,000 every 2 weeks, basically. So you're talking about, almost a 25% increase, so. But there is no budget for it per se. We budget an amount, but that amount is how much we expect to pay, and essentially that exact amount is paid by Savage, so it's just a pass through to Savage.
That cost can be passed on to the customer.
Hmm?
That cost can be passed on to the customer.
Right.
They pay a security fee. When that shit rolls up to that top, there is a security fee.
Right.
That is charged to that customer.
Ultimately, they wind up paying for it, yeah. I mean, if the customers are gonna bear this cost.
And we get that, because I've dealt with years.
I'm not making a good or bad point, I'm just saying it doesn't come out of the Ocean Island Port Authority budget. There's no budget for Ocean Island Port Authority. It's essentially a direct bill to Savage, and they pay the fee. Obviously, Savage passes it on to their customers.
So what would be the new rate?
It says 2380 for
Yeah,
security
or
and $28 an hour.
or what, 17. Yeah.
Ray, did you want to comment or do you have any thoughts?
No, I don't have any thoughts. I don't know the history of how this pass-through structure got put in place, why. Might be worth looking at. I mean, if people are open to it later, we can look at just taking this and not hurting over the management of it.
So I think the issue is that obviously the security has to be provided by OPA. All the brands, the security function of the facility is OPA's responsibility. So that's why the contracts are in OPA's name. And then obviously it's direct bill to Savage.
Another contract in August. Yeah. Yes. Do we need to take action here tonight, or is there something else we need to do?
Yes, just so they were getting paid $14 an hour per week. For how long is that? And what's the increase there, right?
Out of 4 years. Yeah, it's a haul, but because, well,
Yeah, this whole thing, it has to change. So I thank you for coming. I think everyone was doing the work. I know Alex and I, in the charity work, we're doing this for free, so we can mark up. And I understand business. I understand using someone else to perform a job task. But even looking at $17 an hour, at what point, in my daily job, I mean, there's annual increases based on
we
cost of living
typically,
increase.
yeah, we typically, and you'll see it in our contract, we typically come back at every year and ask for 3%. Or if CPI is higher than that, we'll ask. But the language is.
Yeah,
Good point.
So we advertised this agreement, we did a RFP or RFQ, I think we did advertise the contract. And were you the only bidder?
Yes.
We thought it was gonna be no one, and there
But
was.
you know, we did all awards. In Jacksonville, fortunately, not fortunate, but fortunately,
Okay, so how does this compare to Jacksport?
I can't really. Release that information.
So
I will tell you, it's very.
Okay, well, it sounds like we do have a bit of due diligence to do just to evaluate the contract, to understand the flow through, the needs of the operator. If there are other KPIs or any performance metrics that you feel we should include, let us know, because if we're gonna open this up and consider raising the rate, we need to make sure that we are getting, services that we need. It sounds like we are. I think we are, but.
Yeah, we have post windows that involved,
Okay.
so.
Well, and every time we've been to the board, we feel very safe. And we can tell the security is number one priority, so thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for getting this to us so quickly. This is a priority, this will be on the next meeting agenda. I'd like to be prepared to act on it at that time, just for the interim period. But when the contract is renewed in October, I would like to potentially reevaluate if we are going to increase the rates, whether or not we should determine as a board whether or not we want to re-advertise at that time. And you might have some time to meet kind of its audits. So you need to provide a 30-day notice for going to term. Okay. Written notice. Okay.
Yeah, that's standard in security contract.
So the date is sometime in August, so we're going to do that in July. Okay. So we'll do our due diligence and we'll come back to the next meeting with an action. Okay, thank you very much.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
that's the reason that I brought this, before the board now, because last year it was a Chinese fire drill, the 11,000. We expected these people to perform for us when we needed them, and I do reiterate, if there is a security issue, then there is no coverage. There is no court operation, period. Absolutely none. It has to be locked up and the government has to be notified. So they are a critical, part of that operation. So I just wanted to state that again for the record. And now we've got time, if there's any questions, if there's any problem, if there's any sit-down negotiation, we have time to do it before that contract rolls over. So, that's the reason that it was done this early.
Okay, so is the consensus that the next meeting, we will decide whether or not to issue an RFP? Or what's the consensus?
That just input here, you ask me, it's professional services, you don't, that you are, you've done that in the past, that's been zero questions. I haven't read the contract in a while, so I'll get with them, seems to be the determination, this class, the new language. I don't want to have to go through that. We got a good security service here. We don't need to go out and somebody else. Give these guys money they deserve.
So we don't, Patrick, we don't have to re-advertise, we can just like come up with the amendment.
I'll see, I don't want to look at the contract for it.
And, here, would you mind sending whatever grants are implicated, just so we make sure that we,
There's none current.
Okay, you said something about grants for security.
Right, so we've had, obviously, the video system was paid for partly by grant, or we've had in the past, lighting, security lighting have been paid for by grants in the past. those grants have to be in the name of the Ocean County Port Authority. And so,
But not, that,
well,
nothing.
we don't have nothing, no current grants affects security.
Anything else on that? Okay. All right.
So, last question, we could get back, but,
After the next meeting, which is June 12th.
y'all was saying back for the meeting?
You're right. Thank you.
Yeah. You can go.
You're right.
Yeah, we're not.
You're welcome.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Just come to your decision.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 8A, old business, the Ogoga property sale, Amelia Coast Business. And who asked to put this on the agenda? Was that you, Commissioner Bowman, or you, Commissioner?
Again, decided for, I'm really to come back. Give us an update, he's here today. And I'd like to hear, I'd like to get this started back. I know we put it on hold because we wanted to use that property for possible, building a customs house. One of the properties we want to get that, and that's all been done, so I think we need to get back on track.
So the customs project, what percentage completion is that, Lizzie? Didn't we just report back to, I thought we just reported back to the general cost reimbursement on what percentage completion the customs house project was? It's not 100%.
No,
Okay. What do you guys remember?
it's 50% because I just received an invoice for 50% of the work.
Okay, so you're not complete with our customs
Well,
project.
I don't know what the property has to do with it.
Okay, so what?
We decided on where the location is gonna be, and that's all we needed to do.
Right, we're doing analysis of where we're going to do customs house and how we're going to fund it.
Yes, and we both agreed on the one that recommended.
But I don't think we determined how we're funding it and how much it's gonna cost.
Well, what's that got to do with the property?
So, and I've asked this several times as to what the use of the funds will be, and I haven't really gotten a straight answer. So I hear from Commissioner Nelson what the use of the funds should be, and I hear from
I'm not sure you need to name everything we're gonna use that money for. One, one of the things I've thought about is when we build a new customs house. The other house is gonna be there. I would like to use that as our office, and we're gonna need some money to do some upgrades on that house. And that money would be fine for that, but we could use some of that money for that. There are other things. If you want to bring a list in next month, what to do with that money, I can do that. I don't see the necessity for naming, putting a whole list together, what we're gonna do with that money.
Well, once we have the funding under the operating agreement, we have an obligation to contribute to the port operations if we have the ability to pay. We haven't had the funds to pay for capital improvements projects when they.
I will not use that in capital.
But we may not have a choice under the operating agreement. If we don't restrict
I
funds.
think you're wrong about that, Madam Chairman. We have to, could be wrong. There's nothing out there that we have to use any money like that's for capital improvement.
So once we enter into a listing agreement, we are responsible for paying for marketing. And I believe it's $1,000, which is reasonable, a reasonable amount, I think. Because there's a lot of effort involved in listing property. But once we sign that we will, sell, the way the list agreement is drafted, we have an obligation to proceed with a bid to sell the property to get a reasonable offer. And if we don't sell, we have to pay the marketing costs. So once we enter that listing agreement, we're going down a path. And we've received comments from the public that we need to include deed restrictions, those have to be in the listing. So the public knows there are deed restrictions. They also need to know they're moving to a nuisance, right? Because they're moving a nuisance with work. We need to preserve buffers, which are an obligation of our comprehensive plan support element, which I believe are 20 feet at minimum. So we need to know what we're selling, But again, I keep pressing as to why we're selling, because under the operating agreement, if we have the ability to pay, this sort of they have not had, that we have to work with the operator to use our available funds to basically offset their operational costs, to pay for maintenance, to pay for upkeep. We handed over the revenue of the port, and we only get an allowance. And that's the only way that we can say the operator funds is because they have that revenue. These are some capital assets. And we just put the money in the bank account with no restriction, then we have funds available. So I mean, Patrick, here, feel free to weigh in. I mean, but we've raised this multiple times, and I still I don't hear consensus about why this is so urgent to sell property. It sounds like, you know, there's interest in some property near Crawford Diamond or something. And then Commissioner Nelson wants to use the resources for the port, which is really the operator's obligation. So I just trying to understand why this is a fire drill priority to rush this through.
Madam Chairman, I think we've been debating this now for months. It's not a fire. You know, it's obvious you don't want to sell any of the property. You made that clear from the beginning. But three of us on here voted to sell that property. I think that's what we need to do.
I think it's a very short sighted. I think,
Of course, I mean,
yeah, I've always told you, I feel like we should not sell our property. And it's not like a broken record to go on the continue with the reasons why. There is not a plan in place. And until we have something in place, a concrete plan to move forward, the question just asked, what do we do with it? And, you know, I'm hearing a bunch of random things, come out, but there's not a set plan. It seems very short-sighted. And I remember, and just want to remind, those of us who were there, but certain congressman even saying, hey, when giving this land, don't sell your assets. There's no reason right now to sell our assets. We should not sell our assets. And I stand by that. I said it, you know, for months now, and I would support this. And again, it's nothing against Mr. Griffin. He's a great realtor. It's a lot of great work in the community. But when it comes to property, no, we don't need to move forward on it. But I'm standing for
Well, it depends on which kind of community we talk to. I thought that kind of community said would be a good thing to do there. So, I don't agree. I'm not hearing Mr. Griffin about he's got any kind of marketing of property. If he has any idea if there's any interest out there in the property.
Well, thank you. So I can't help you with the decision on whether to sell or not. The other option you could look at to monetize, in case we should just say. If you wanted to monetize it without selling it, we could look at leasing the property. There's no reason that it has to sit vacant forever. You could still own it, control it. We could do a lease with, like a tiny homes program or something small that were on foundations, you know, bolted down, but movable, so they could lift it up. There's no reason why you couldn't live there and do it. We could just provide the land and let the developer bring in 2 or 3 houses probably, and retain the land, have the income, and then down the road, you want to expand the port, put a cousin's house or senator's office or something there, you definitely got the land still in control. So it's not an all or nothing thing. If you need the cash, there are people with capital that'll invest in anywhere in Fernandina to give them an opportunity.
Could you bring us back some ideas, or some people that may be interested in what we look at, what we look at?
Yeah.
We can ask Mr. Griffin to work for free without listening to you.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I love this town, and so there's, you know, there's things that are obvious to me when I look at that. You've got a port with commercial activity, and you've got a very sensitive residential area. And I think you all on the board know that you have to be sensitive to the residential surrounding area. And I think our focus would need to stay on on residential use rather than commercial. You know, I bring a concrete batch plant or an asphalt batch plant and tell you it's 10 grand a month. But, you know, it's bad for you and me when we left the meeting. So We just need to stay on something that's palatable for the neighborhood, I think.
I don't think they're going that long.
Yeah,
So I'm happy to share with you some of the ideas, just transparency to support this process. I think, and I'm sorry for remaining on the stuff, but, when you sell public assets, you really need to account to the public for why, when, where, what, how. You really have to validate those decisions. If nothing else, public safety, number one concern. Also, management and stewardship of public assets. And if we can't say what we're gonna do with the money, and if we can't come with a plan and monetize the property and say, well, plan to monetize the property isn't valid, we have to sell it. Great, but we need to at least do that analysis, which we didn't do this whole process. And I'm so sorry for the time that you've wasted in this.
oh, it's okay, don't worry.
Thank you for your generous, time, but we started this process to do that, to figure out how to optimize our property, to figure out what to do with all the various vacant lots. But the Customs House is right across the street, and Customs and Border Patrol has discussed moving that house, what the cost would be. They want to know, where is it going to go? Is it gonna stay there? And Customs, as part of their office administrative needs, they can put property, or they can use property regardless of local zoning, although they are very sensitive to the historic district and they do want to work well with the city. But those two parcels are residential. So that's the big restriction, is that, in order to use that land to monetize it, what are the options? And what's the viability of using it for a corporate purpose or co-located purpose?
Okay, I'll be happy to give you some ideas, send it to you, and you can discuss it at a future meeting. I like challenge that, so it's not a waste of my time. I enjoy the challenge.
Well, then you'll have to see the water either.
Okay.
Excuse me one second, I was part of the RFP process. May I address the commission, because it seems like we're moving into an open listing situation that can be done with any real estate agent on this planet.
Sir.
So, yes, I'm sorry, I'm just wondering if this is
I
not
appreciate
open
you
listing.
coming tonight and, part of my job is shares.
I'm just wondering, I will come back and make a comment.
We do have a public comment period, and we'll do another public comment period at the end of the meeting, but just in the interest of keeping.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And your comments are noted, in terms of the procurement process, because this process has been, long process. Okay, moving on to 8B, Oakwood document request support operator update. So this item, has been kept on the agenda at my request, and Patrick has been actively working it, and there's a lot of other items that are, more pressing. We don't have a report, attorney report tonight. Did you have any update on that item, or?
Yeah, since 2 weeks ago, I've been dealing with some other things that are on the video.
Okay, we'll just keep it, on the agenda, just to make sure that we are on progress, but, I'll look back at that too, and try to add some more effort. Other commissioners, please do look at those emails and help to identify any gaps, because, the records we get from the operator are important, for our control of the revenues. They will become much more important as we move into the fall and begin having a revenue share situation. Did you have a comment? Okay. The next item is 8C, Mira disposition of work pledged tugboats, 6 trucks update.
As you all know, at the last meeting, we had another debate, which should have had to take place for me to meet with our interested party out of Jacksonville to inspect the port plant. That did take place last Monday. When we got there was nobody there, even after the discussion went on in this meeting, that we would be there. So the tugboat was locked up. But we went ahead and done the external inspection. The person that's interested in it, the company, It's no secret, it's McAllister out of Jacksonville. They were very, very impressed with the way the tub looked. And I know that at the last meeting, Commissioner Fullwood had a question about would the tugboat stay in Fernandina if McAllister bought it. So during our inspection, I posed that question to the Vice President of McAllister of Operations. And he assured me that if we wanted that tugboat to stay in Fernandina, it would stay in Fernandina, but he gave us a bonus. He said, in the event we have to pull that tug out of Fernandina for whatever reason, we will send another tug immediately up there to take its place. The tugboat that he described was a 3,000 horsepower, which is bigger than the 4 claims, to take its place until such time can be returned. So that takes care of that part. So, he asked me if we could get some inside photos. I went back, I sent a text message, I went back, and, miraculously, the code was unlocked. There was some words exchanged back and forth, and I made myself perfectly clear, I was breaking that to them. So I took the pictures and I sent them. They're asking now for some other information, which I will pass on to Savage this afternoon to obtain that information. And then they will notify this board of their intentions concerning the 4 claims. So they're highly interested. They've given us what we've asked for as far as the tugboat stand in Fernandina. So as soon as I hear something, it'll be passed on, but I will make sure that that information that he's asked for is given to him. Any questions on it from the board?
Will an offer be forthcoming, or what's their next step?
As soon as he gets the information, he will talk to his operations folks, and they'll make a decision, and they'll send us an offer or whatever we're requiring at the time. At that time, I'll forward any and all information to Rosanna, and she can distribute it to the board, and then whatever you require me to do with the McAllister representative, I'll follow up.
Didn't we have a deadline?
Pardon?
Didn't we have a deadline to get them married?
We had a meeting today. That's actually Patrick was prepared to give an update. Any other questions for Commissioner Nelson? Maybe we can circle back to it. No, okay.
Sure, thank you, Chair. So we had, the credits be known that we had a meeting today with the MARAD team, and kind of wanted an update, and we advised them of the port operator's desires and what kind of what we talked about here, that no decision has actually been made, but the preferred, based on the side of the operator, preferred concept would be to refund the grant amount that was awarded, which is $1 million, back to DOT, and then terminate the grant. And then we would, between Oakwood and the port operator, settle what happened to both and how the funds transferred, all that. They need to do some work on their end regarding the fact that the grant has expired, and we're asking to terminate it. So we're asking to terminate something that's already expired. And so they were going to go back with their regs and talk amongst themselves and get with us early next week about that. It didn't seem like that was going to be a problem. They didn't seem bothered by the concept that we described of essentially making them whole and dealing with the vessel on our own with the port operator. But we're going to get back to this problem Tuesday, given it's all. I think that's everything. Maybe I forgot.
One of the things I thought was important was, they said that if, for whatever reason, we had to do a disposition, that we would need to validate the price.
Correct.
They the same as we discussed. And that would not be a date. So if we either pathway, sort of was a pay back, or if it's a, disposition at a value that has been validated as market value, that either way, the OPA's position going forward is, you have the path forward to be in good standing, not have any demerits on our credit impairment.
And what they described is we, obviously, in layman's terms, we were to sell the vessel. I thought they got 85% of that, but they said they said 7%, because you know, I mean, we want to validate that, but anyway, the way this position will work in validated market value assessment of appraisal, you sell it, and DOT gets a percentage of that, of the whole thing. So it's gonna be somewhere between 77 and 85% of that. But we're waiting for.
Okay, so we don't have an action item on that at this time. There are 6 trucks. We've kind of been focused on the tugboat. Are there any activities with the trucks or any other equipment that we need to discuss? Or can we move on?
In my opinion, because I was in on that process when they were purchased, it would be better for OPA to send those trucks to a auction and take it that way, because selling them out individually would be a disaster. Those trucks have a lot of hours on them, and you wouldn't get as much, but if you sold them as a group at an auction, you probably do that.
Where did that goes?
Those were purchased out of Jacksonville through a company that needs from them. They have a network where they can reach out. Okay.
So do we need to take action on that item? Do we need to do any due diligence about the value, or do you think we're just holding that item?
I would just wait to revive on that.
Okay. All right, the next item is 8D, our resiliency plan update. Rosanna and I had a call with Mr. Jim McDonald to discuss the resiliency plan and reported on that to the board. We've also had a call with Mr. Hale about applying for grants in order to fund the projects that would be necessary to take action on the items that have been identified. And we called and Amber emailed Mr. McDonald, and Greg also had a suggestion on the path forward so that we can kind of run 2 tracks with this. Did you want to tell me a little bit about it?
Just that we have interest in it, and I think it would be beneficial if we engaged a grant writing company, which is similar to J that can help us apply for those, because we have so much work that, right?
Very cool.
So I think I can't remember everything we said in the conversation, but we think it would be beneficial to engage with a firm that can help us write the grants and draft them. It might be simpler than federal grants, but we'd like to help apply for everything that we can get to address the resiliency plan and the needs assessment.
So I think that we should come to a consensus that we want to start taking action on this at this meeting. Our deadline is June 17th to issue our applications for grants. Those funding have gone out. And even if what we were applying for is, advanced engineering for projects to determine what the cost would be, what the priorities are, the draft resiliency plan gives us the needs assessment. So the draft resiliency plan you all have in your inboxes identifies the issue. It puts our flag in this issue as saying, we are going to call out this issue. And so we need to take, very prompt action to begin pursuing it as soon as we, at least that's the advice I've received from HNTB, the contract with the state program. There is a lot of funding available in these projects. Some of the projects have very high funding rates. 90% was the percentage I recall from our meeting in the city when we had our joint resiliency workshop. There's an additional match if we have collaboration and approval from the local governing jurisdiction, which in this case would be the city. So what I would like to walk away from tonight with is a consensus that we want to pursue grants and bring back to the board an application for approval similar to what we have on the next item, the EPA Clean Books Grant, to go ahead and start taking action on the rail line, the bulkhead, and flooding.
Madam Chair, the north end of that terminal needs immediate attention. When I was down there with the I challenged each one of the commissioners to take a visit, go to the north ramp. You don't even need a ruler or a measuring tape. You can see how bad it is. The angle on that dock, on that ramp, I would not recommend it be used. That angle is too steep. If you try to take a low boy up that north ramp, you're gonna be there a while, till they get you off of it. But I would definitely take a look at that. And while we're talking, I know that we have a meeting with FDOT on the 29th at Pierre's office. I would ask that I be excused from that and allow Commissioner Fullwood to go, because I know we're getting in some tight time here, and he's in charge with the CBP project. That would give him an opportunity to sit with, Altman, and because the end of the, grant is coming up, we need to get something in place on that so we can move straight into, the chair's permission. And, with, Mr. Moore's agreement. That would, I think that would help him and get that shoe in front of the other one before we wait for the last minute.
So Rosanna, did you already tell them that I was going or no?
No, I did not. I just requested that Commissioner Nelson step back this time and have either you or Commissioner Fullwood, because we are on a timeline for the grant application, and you have specific questions for FDOT.
Right.
So,
I had the call with Jim. The only concern is I had the call with Jim McDonald, and I think we need to figure out how we can get our application together, considering we only have a draft resiliency plan. We can't take those items and incorporate them into our proposal because they have draft stamped. And so what I'm trying to get a response from Jim McDonald is, can you get me to these portions of this in final form? We really were supposed to have months ago in order to meet the current deadlines. But that was the main reason why I wanted to be on the call, so that we didn't miss this cycle to apply for those grants. But I mean, if Commissioner Nelson thinks that Commissioner Fullwood would either good person to join or not opposed to it.
it's up to the board.
If there's questions asked, he's attended all the meetings. I haven't attended any of the meetings, so he would be the information center for them.
Okay, and is there a way to do like a notice of gathering if we both were there?
That's a question for Patrick.
You have to.
Okay.
So she could,
Would open up the protocol.
Which I think is fine. I think we just need to get it done.
yeah,
And it's one of the, I think it's the shortest timeline we tried to respond to.
right. Both you and Commissioner Fullwood have questions that needs to be answered before the deadline of the application. So let me confirm that with FDOT.
Okay, great. Thank you for your collaboration. Okay, the next item is the EPA Clean Ports Grant, which is attached to actually, I think was emailed to board members, it was not attached to the packet because we didn't receive it in time to publish it with the packet. Patrick has made this a priority since we have less than 24 hours to review all the documents, so his team has gone through and redlined, and I think you will receive that redlined copy. So the two components are the statutory partnership agreement and the grant application itself. And Greg, would you be able to explain the statutory partnership agreement and why that's needed?
And it's these CPA grants, as a private company or private entity, we're able to apply, but only with the statutory partnership agreement attached. So it would be in conjunction with public entity like OPA.
And could you explain the role of the applicant? Because I know there are some regulations that are cited in that statutory partnership agreement that state that NASA Terminals is a pass-through entity for purposes of the regs. Could you explain what that is?
I can answer that.
Yeah, I don't think, if you don't mind, Madam Chair, kind of track orders for the last couple of days, and I'm sure your port operators team has as well, put this together. I wouldn't characterize it as a pass-through, because the money doesn't end up in local stands. So what you have here is Nassau Terminal port operator line as the grantee. It's their application. They are saying we are going to do this, all of these things. This is what we're going to do with the grant. That's all in the application. I have no comment on that. The way this, my understanding, and I've made some additional changes to this agreement. The way this is set up is that we are a partner with the applicant, but they are the lead on the grant. They apply for it. If it's awarded to them, they administer it. They deal with it. They're responsible for answering all the regs and requirements. And if EPA comes knocking, it's them that responds. The statutory partnership agreement is required to do it this way. And that's the red line document that you have in front of you. So I don't know that I would characterize it as a pass-through. I'm not speaking for the operator. But that's not my understanding. My understanding is that they are truly the applicant. They are getting they're applying for the grant. It's awarded, it goes to them. OPA will, for the facility, will benefit from it. But they are the ones that are required to meet all the metrics and the reporting, whatever is required is on them to do. The statutory partnership agreement has, and there's a lot of red on this document. Commissioner Taylor and I spoke on the way up. I will say section 13 was a great concern to me, but after doing some work this afternoon, frankly, mostly by my associate, it's required. I don't think it's something that would likely ever happen, but that language is required by EPA. And so, you know, there's a provision in here that any replacement would have to be approved by the agency, which is EPA. So for some unforeseen reason, we ended up in that circumstance, and we still existed as an entity, we could raise an objection to that and say that's not what we want to do. Otherwise, if for some unforeseen reason it's happened, it's likely to be the city or the county that would be kind of slid into that role. That I don't understand the circumstance where that would happen, given that we're a state chartered entity. Something just unpredictable and dramatic like that. So I would suggest leaving section 13 the way it is, because it's required. The only other one that I think needs your attention as the board is section 6, which is ownership of the improvements. I altered this language more to call it out so you can look at it, and also so that it's consistent with previous grants. We've never done a grant like this before. OPA has always been the applicant on behalf of the operator as opposed to vice versa. So I think you as a board need to decide in in discussion with the operator, who's gonna own some of these things that are purchased through this grant? The language here is problematic just in the fact that you have not permanent fixtures in front, even if permanently affixed, I mean, those things get lawyers heartburn. But really, it's a business decision between you and the operator as to who is going to own what that's acquired from this grant. The remaining language, I think, is fairly straightforward. There's some indemnity changes, things that, you know, to protect BOPA, that's my job. I'm not here to protect the operator. So we made some changes there. There's a lot in here. I'm happy to try to answer any questions you have, but I want to call out section 6 and 13 primarily.
So we submit the application with this attached, and then we determine that, you know, for example, OPA has to own the property in order for some other requirement of the grant to be met. How do we, are we able to amend this?
I don't know how EPA's approval review process works. They're going to do the application in this agreement. Whether they come back and say this doesn't look right, or I don't know how that works. And I don't know that, frankly, if Greg knows how that works. You know, they may look at it and say, we don't like this setup, and get anything. I don't know.
And I saw something in there about that we would agree to execute whatever documents are required to be, you know, to effectuate the intent of this agreement. But I wasn't sure about the process with the grant if they let us.
I don't know if they will. We just know that, it is a huge benefit because we want it for the board, we want it for the community. It would be a huge one for everybody. It would bring a lot of benefits as far as noise reduction, as far as pollution reduction. And so we're willing to apply for this and even, you know, pay for it millions of dollars towards it. But as far as some of these, the technical process pieces that come later after an EPA review, we don't know. So we're, you know, taking guidance from some of our consultants who have had more experience than we do. With the, you know, what kind of application would make sense, and that's what we look forward.
My understanding is the statutory partnership agreement goes with the application only. If the grant is awarded, it will be a subsequent agreement or structure this board would have to approve based on what EPA says is being awarded and what it's used for. I think a lot of detail will come once, if there is an award. This agreement is just for the application process.
And to understand that without our endorsement, it goes nowhere.
The way that it's being done, with them applying as the lead applicant, this document is required by EPA. And certain things in this document have to be, such as section 13, but it's got to be in there.
So you realize that you would have put that.
Yeah, you would just reject.
Which the OPA would have to become a partner
We are a partner.
to move forward.
Right, that's what this agreement requires, that we are basically endorsing them as the applicant. They're gonna be responsible for all of it, we're the local government entity that's a part of the deal. That there has to be that in order for the application to be accepted.
So you're covering the cost of, you're covering the 10% match, the non-federal match, right? And so the cost of the application and all that, I look at it as, I think you just said a win-win, but a win for Medina, a win for the community. We're looking at zero emissions, I mean, the environmental sustainability, you know, for long term, I think is huge. And so saying yourself, reduction of pollution and noise. I hate to pass this up, and I actually want to commend you all for really moving forward on this. I think it can be great for all parties involved. I just got, I saw the red lines, and Paul Patrick was like, let's explain, let's go through this, but, so, yeah, I don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize that, or miss up the opportunity, this great opportunity for this grant.
Yeah, we're covering all costs, everything required to apply and to put it in place, all required payments, all consultants, all application fees, all those costs for everything. So it is, and really this is, it's a win for the operator, it's a win for the community, it's a win for OLA. It's a big opportunity and it's, it just came in time. It was just posted in February. So we're rushing.
The deadline's 28.
So one thing I did notice is that our address, I had changed the address for the new one, but it's.
So I would ask you all and Greg to discuss section 6 and decide who's gonna own what. I have not submitted this red line to the port operator. I will do that tonight, once I have clear direction on, mainly on section 6. I think everything else is either the operator and the team need to see it. I think it's necessary to protect OPA. I will reject the red line at 13, but I need to know who expects to own what of this infrastructure, equipment, materials, that kind of thing, that may ultimately be board. And whether those are permanent fixtures, and if you look in section 6, the discussion of certain infrastructure improvements, such as the charging station, utility improvement, permanent fixtures, which are then described differently. I need to know what it is. Either you all are willing to or willing to accept, or vice versa.
Madam Chair, Greg, have you looked at the red line?
No, I haven't seen.
So, well, the next thing, what about the red line, section 6, red line, what would you agree, not agree with? If you haven't seen it, but you can't comment on that.
Well, just knowing the section and knowing what we propose, we're set up to manage equipment. We manage billions of dollars worth of equipment. We have the systems and the processes to manage, to maintain, to keep operating. It made sense to us that the equipment that was fixed at the port just stayed at the port of Longfellow, but it was part of OPA's assets. The mobile equipment, we wanted to control that so that we could treat it properly, use it properly, without any hindrances. And so just according to the grant, this is what we're looking for. And that's all makes sense to us.
Yeah, control would be one thing, but what happens? We're talking about forklifts, new forklifts.
Right, mobile equipment.
Yes. What would happen though is, say, if you left, would they remain in the port?
We're not looking to leave. We're a long-term partner. Okay. We're a long-term partner and we're making long-term, and the operating agreement goes for a long time. And our intention is to use it as a port.
So could we, so ultimately, you'd agree that the equipment would stay in Nassau, would stay at Port Regina, for operations? Correct.
Yeah, the liquid would have to allow for use at our airport operations. But we could look at that.
Actually, what operation?
Airport operations, because we have off-site warehouses where we take products.
And some of that equipment, charging stations will be friendly.
Yeah, we would have to be able to get electric equipment there and back, so we need charging equipment at the destination also.
Well, I just need you to look at this, the red line, and tell us what you don't agree with.
Okay. Yeah, happy to.
If we can't do it that way. You've got to approve a document tonight, or you're not going to make the deadline. I mean, you can't say continue Thursday. So if in concept, we're talking about putting this fixed to the facility belongs to OPA,
That's a no-go for us. We have to control all the equipment. We have to manage them all.
No, the equipment is fixed to the facility.
Okay,
Is that over this?
yes,
But does the operator manage it?
yeah, we'll manage that.
Manage, service and maintenance and all that,
That's right,
and it's mobile, belongs to you.
that's right.
Okay, so I can adjust section 6 to reflect that. But we've got to approve what I would say is an amended version of the statutory partnership agreement, so that I can get it back to Greg and Amy and the team in Utah and say, this is the language that the board approved. And if you don't like it, then we're going to have a special meeting whenever, before Tuesday, or you're gonna have to accept it. So the deadline is Tuesday.
So I know when this initially came up, I think the understanding was that we were the applicant and we would own the equipment, but then it would be managed just like all the other equipment before. And I know you have the trucks, which are open trucks, and those are movable. And I mean, I don't know if they're always just used for productivity or not, but in any event, it's different for me that it's not going to be owned by OPA. At the end of the day, I really want to achieve the goal of the grant, but that part is a little strange. But if you look at the operating agreement, there is some precedent for the operator owning equipment, so the Clyde and then Hitachi cranes that were currently in place at the port when the current operating agreement was signed, those were owned by the operator and not owned by OPA. But I think.
Yeah, I think in consideration of all the money that they're gonna spend. And without that, we don't have this.
Oh, well, what's the match?
10%.
It's a 10%. So, I mean,
But we don't know if they're gonna be able to get
It could be 3 million.
We're gonna do
If it's all awarded, it's 3 million.
yeah, so I only bring that up because I think we really are in support of this and that we want to go the most short path to this being approved. And I do have some concerns about the interpretation of this, whether or not it will, work. I want it to work, but if there's a more direct path that is a more sure thing for the overall grant to be approved and not questioned, I think the board is ready to be the applicant and own the equipment. I mean, if that's a clear path to the grant being approved and new red lines, then I think we're ready to the path. We really have this 24 hours.
Right. I don't think that's a clear path. I think that doesn't get us there in the short time frame we have. I think that the match would be closer to 4 million total if everything was awarded. For us, this is what's required. If we want to do this, this is what we need. If we're going to spend $4 million, we need to own mobile equipment. The mobile equipment is useless without charging systems. It isn't something that, we could, I don't know, take to Jacksonville, just use. This is charging system to charging system, is how it works. So we have charging systems that are offsite locations. We have primary charging systems here for the port, and it works between those assets.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything to do it a different way. I just think we need to have an understanding. And again, my expectation based on the research we've done is that there will be another agreement once an award is granted and EPA spells out what that award is and what it's for. There will be another document that we have to work on to the operator to specify how all that's going to happen. I mentioned this to Commissioner Taylor on the phone on the way up here. I did this for consistency, but you're right. There are other grants that have been done other ways. There are things we own out there. There are things we don't own out there. It's not been done just one way. I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention and the operator's attention so that we're clear on what OPA owns and what the operator owns, because there are also, when OPA says they own something, the next question is, okay, well, are you paying to maintain it and to to operate it, or to, or do you just own it in name and they're still responsible for it? So I think if we can break it down simply to equipment that's fixed in the facility, brokers, or operators can maintain and operate it. And equipment that's mobile is the operator, we don't have anything to do with it. That's what I need to move forward on a comfort level there. That's the complete understanding of the board. I will amend section 6 to say that. I will reject the deletion of section 13, so that would be amended statutory partnership agreement in front of you. You would authorize, I'll get it to them tonight, when I get home, and they'll have 2 working days and 3 holidays to go over it, see if they're willing to accept it.
So the total award would be 40 million?
I think it was just,
Do you agree with that, Shane?
the way that you said it right now, fixed equipment belongs to OPA, we would still maintain it. Mobile equipment belongs to the operator, we would also maintain that, we would agree to that.
And it saves, no, it saves the county.
No, there are loads that we take, yeah, there are certain things we do outside of the county, but it would be,
Worst case would be Virginia.
Well, we can say the primary purpose would be for equipment.
there we go.
Well, the new paragraph, it says the activities on the port, so that you could reference that.
Yeah, and we do that, a lot of our customers need stuff taken on the site.
Well, then, with those, that have been that housing promotion.
Motion in a second to approve the Clean Ports grant and related agreement. Any further discussion?
Chair, I'm bothered by what I'm hearing. We got an operator that waits till the 11th hour, brings it in here. We can't even agree across this table now who's who and who's getting what. I mean, I see it here that the project is $10 million, and then I hear $3 million, whatever else. We have an infrastructure out there right now that will not accept this. And if anybody thinks that that's not the case, let's take a ride. I'll show you. We're sitting here at the 11th hour trying to decide who's going to own equipment. This also been discussed in the past. We should not be here expecting as a board to vote on something that we really don't understand. It's clear from what I'm hearing that we do not have a clear understanding about this at all. And that's troublesome to me.
What is it you don't understand?
What do you mean? You can't even tell me who's wrong. He said that he's got equipment, he's gonna take out the table.
This is decided.
No. You can think that what's going, I've got an attorney sitting right here saying, well, we really don't know. We're gonna have to look, he's gonna have to agree to something. You're asking me and this board to vote on something that you don't understand.
I understand it.
Well, then you vote for it. I guarantee I don't.
We have a motion.
We do have a motion in a second. Did any of the other commissioners have any further comment? I just wanted to comment about the process. So, notice of funding opportunities that come out, they are very fast and furious. I agree that we should have more time to review the application, and Patrick basically has to drop everything in order to do this. His fees are gonna be paid, and for this agreement, his time is gonna be paid by the operator. And it shouldn't be that you have to drop every other thing, because we have to agree, we have to review a document that we've been expecting from them. So I agree that it shouldn't be a fire drill. That said, I have known about this grant and wanted Nassau Terminals to apply for it, and we had many discussions about it. Initially, they didn't think it was viable. And this dates back to last year, but ultimately, hearing about it every month at TPO about clean ports and how much funding is available, we kept trying, and I'm glad that you were able to come to a agreement, even if it's novel, that will get us there. So I do feel comfortable about it. I've got read the document, and it's pretty tough to negotiate. But if they'll accept it as it is, I feel comfortable about this. As the package of ice and And changes made in that. Right? Any further comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay, so that was a 4-1 vote. It passed. So congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations to the board.
Okay, so, the last item on the agenda is, new business, which is the FDOT traffic study for the road. Does anyone need a break? We've been at it for an hour. Okay, let's just break it again. Okay, so FDOT did a traffic study on Friendly Road at the request of Ina. We were told that there's going to be additional traffic at the Friendly Road warehouse. And so the request was made to do a signal analysis as to whether or not the signal is warranted. The response is in the packet. Lots of engineering here about that intersection that is considered a high crash corridor on 200. What was recommended was additional signaling around, to see it in the packet on page appendix B. There's speed limit signs posted, stop signs, signal signs. That are any discussions or comments? Ray, do you have any feedback about that?
No feedback. It would be great to get a signal there, but we'll see what we can do in the future.
Do you have a point of contact at FDOT, or would you like me to make one for you?
Oh, that'd be great. Good.
Okay. Usually they will come out and bring, field engineers and talk through what they've done with their report. And I find it really helpful to go to the field. They're great, super smart. The guys at FDOT, yes, Rosanna and Michelle, and that's.
Be your guy.
Yep, he would at the district level, yeah, and, but he would probably work with the local engineer, and this is county, correct? Wayne County. So I would also recommend having, someone from the county with you, because some of the improvements would implicate the county right away. So we can suggest, Robert's good, he goes to all of the, technical advisory committee meetings with TPO, so he knows Jim Knight.
Yeah, if you can make some introductions, that'd be great. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and so you may not get Robert, you may not get Jim in the field, but you will get whoever else that makes sense. But I would get together with them and just make sure that you had that discussion later as that flow traffic increases, you have a point of contact for any issues, and they are very responsive. Perfect. Safety is number one priority.
Chair, after I did this, report, and I guarantee you, they will not put traffic up there for a while.
Well, and that may not be the
Answer.
right answer, right?
Add another lane or something. We can add more than that. Figure it out. Not much room between the railroad and the road. It is a dangerous place.
So the last item on the agenda was other items to be brought by commissioners. We have the warehouse 2-yard waste issue. I think I asked Rosanna to put this on the agenda. So you had an issue with some neighbors leaving trash on the property.
Yeah, we noticed it. It was the first time we noticed it. It was yard waste. It wasn't plastics or anything. So we put on the bring it to Oprah's attention. We hadn't seen it before. We didn't know what the process was. It looked like a property, and so we just wanted to notify the board and say, hey, this is happening.
I think you guys saw that email. This is circulated into the board. So what happened was that one of your longtime employees was walking the property as they do and saw a member of the community putting their yard things, the big pile of yard things, in the right of way on the corner next to the stop sign. And there's a picture of the Um, and I don't think they should put it there, but I didn't want to speak on behalf of the entire board. But I think we should just maybe have a conversation with the neighbors and say we don't want to have waste put on the driveway. It's not open waste, and you have to maintain the grass and whatnot, I mean, it's your property. To me, it's unsightly to put a waste pile right in the middle of the intersection. So we could have a conversation with the neighbors to see if they'll put it somewhere else, request that they do. There. Okay. Everybody consensus to do that? So. Yeah, I appreciate the city staff responding to that. I wasn't quite sure if that was really within their job description.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
who will contact Mr. Gleason?
I will.
Okay.
Okay, and then I promised, Mr. Griebel time to speak. Dan Griebel, like to reopen public comment.
Yes, my name is Daniel Grable. I'm setting my alarm for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I tend to get long-winded. I am one of the applicants, 6 applicants that started this process back in the end of June. What I heard tonight was it doesn't RFQ, whatever, sunshine laws don't apply because we've got a 3-2 vote. So if I come with an offer next week, next board meeting, and I present it to the 3 individuals that say sell, it's gonna be sold for a 3-2. Doesn't matter if it's not in residential, doesn't matter what the neighborhood says. It's going to be sold. And then you're gonna deal with the village and go through the zoning process. I personally own 200 acres on the Illinois River, navigable waterway, liquid asphalt plant. So when I hear in our village, this gentleman who left, saying a liquid asphalt plant, or an asphalt shavings plant put next to our neighborhood, that appalls me. I'm sorry for speaking out of turn earlier, but that doesn't suit what the RFP called for. We called initially, when we had all 6 of us, what was initially said? What's the commission? Not what the process is. Real estate is a process. If you want a commission, put a damn sign out like some of the commissioners on the city council have said, and you'll get a meeting. Bye. I'm done. I'm sorry. I apologize for my tone, but it is uncalled for to say at this point, we're gonna have an open listing. Yet the amount of time and effort 6 companies put in.
Thank you for your comments. Any other items to be brought by the commission? Rosanna?
That was the same resolution that was submitted to the county.
And on the board put together,
Minus, yeah, I think minus the AD, the fall.
are they aware of how many forts we have?
One more time.
It says 16. The board, we only have 15.
Sorry, the stagger.
We can make the correction because we haven't assigned these and passed them on. Okay, any other items we got?
Madam Chair, I do. You told me to remind you to bring up the trade flag signage.
Oh, yes. So this matter was really never resolved. The RV Camp World, it's Reg Nation is using the sign. So I think the board needs to have a letter sent that says, we notified you in March, April, I think it was in March, April, that there's a fee for the sign, maybe send an invoice for $100, $150 and say it's been a month. You can pay the invoice and you can get, use of the sign, and please take the sign down, and please don't get an issue on trade flag sign.
That's not exactly that conversation. The conversation was, there's a sign up there, you're a new owner, you want to keep the sign, And the answer was, no, we have no interest in sign. Now, I live in Texas. So if you want me to call them and say, okay, take it down, I was under the expression that at the time of that conversation that it was gone or would be gone. I guess was there, drove by, took a picture of it. So there was never a specific conversation about a rate or a charge. It was maybe you wanted, it was almost an invitation. You want to keep the sign? Because we were also concerned about who was maintaining the property around us. So if you want me to notify them, they need to come out and remove the sign, I'm happy to do that.
Okay, what would be the rate of the sign? We put out a number, $100.
We did that and we said it would be $100 But the other gentleman originally said that he would put his sign there and he would get, he put the property in. Somebody made it. And it's, you need some work, but, you know.
Sometimes it's nodes, sometimes it sounds like the sign has to be repeated. So, I mean, if we could send an invoice and say it would be $100 a month, maybe go forward. If they leave up,
You said no. But you already had the conversation, correct?
but it's I think the response said.
But it took it down. Well, so let them take it down.
So I think given the previous sort of amorphous agreement, had I think a 6-month period that ended up lasting several years. I think at this point, the appropriate thing to do would be to say, you need to take it down, and then, I mean, I'd be happy to the next 15 days. But I think if you say it's $100, you're going to pay for it. So now you're spending not chasing $100. But I'm working the will of the board, whatever you all decide. I think based on the conversation I had, it would be more of a, it's still there.
Yeah, we have a sign that has 4 blocks on either side to put these names up there. And so we should have a rate established if the intent is to use it for advertising.
Thought we did, and that's what we did, yeah, $100 a month.
So do you want to say $100? Do you want to raise it to $150? What was the intent support?
I think we will see what the what the next rate is for those, but I do think that it should increase several years ago, but so I think the time being, we notify them to remove the sign, give them the time frame. Go there.
Yeah, and if they don't want to take it down, let's go with $100. Is that okay? Okay, great.
I could take the guy from the port out there and pick up that money.
I have a region of person and spend more time talking about that. Okay, can we do nothing about the? We are adjourned.